Hello, welcome
See,
to our second podcast. For those who are new, we are the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, also known throughout campus as SASE. We mainly focus on helping our members in education and employment through our events. And for our second podcast, we focus on academics. You want to go to the next slide, Kedar?
yeah, so this is something that we'll
Oh
go
my.
again, like
Whoa.
yeah, so basically a list of like all our both our mentors and our some of our e-board members from different majors. So if you have any like major specific questions or you just want to ask any of us some general questions, and like feel free to email us and we'll be happy to respond. So.
Wait a minute. We're civil engineering?
Yeah, word.
Oh yeah, I
I'm
just have
not
like
on there.
put everything on, so I just put that like at the bottom. So.
Okay, so this is not the
Dope.
complete list.
Mhm.
So the
Dope.
first question is, what are some ways to get help/tutoring for classes?
Okay. So, hello, I'm Amber. I'm a junior, and one of the best ways to get help is to go to professor office hours. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can go to ALAC tutoring, and that is full of uh, upperclassmen who are really good at tutoring and are hired to tutor you in any subject that you choose. And there is a website and you can just pop in whenever you want, um, any time of the day. I think they're doing WebEx now, so they have time slots like from 8 p.m. to like 10 p.m. When those tutors are free to uh, tutor people. There's also the APO back test office, and you can get your back test
Okay. Can you turn up your volume a little bit? Sorry. But I think I caught most of it.
Yeah, I would say definitely go to office hours. I hated going to office hours. It felt so awkward being just like in a room with my professor, because usually it's in a huge ass lecture room with 100 other students. But like individual rooms, it really helps, especially when you're like stuck on a question and you're too like it's too embarrassing to ask in class to like raise your hand. So I feel like office hours really help.
Yeah, and every professor has office hours, so that's something unique to colleges is that professors hold these hours for students to come in and ask questions. So that's really nice for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, professors like a lot of times have like they can have like hundreds of students, but usually like during their office hours, they don't if like especially if it's not like right before an exam, then usually during their office hours, then there's usually no more than like 3 or 4 students most of the time. So it's a good, really good like office hours are a really good place to like get like pretty much one-on-one help and like tutoring for like any homework or studying that you're doing. And also another thing is for um, for the intro level classes for chemistry, calculus, and physics, there's actually something called iPersist tutoring, um, which is a little bit similar to ALAC tutoring, except it's a specific mentor that's assigned to a group of students and and the mentor helps that group of students through whichever class it is, whether it's chemistry, calculus, or physics. The mentor helps the students with pretty much anything they need, whether it's like homework or studying or just laboratory work or anything like that. So iPersist mentors are another really good resource.
Mm-hmm. Is that it for this question?
I think we hit on everything.
Okay, then we can move on to the next one. So what is the best way to structure my schedule?
Go first.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is something called a 4-year plan that undergrads are encouraged to make. And it's
Yeah,
essentially,
Michelle.
I didn't make mine until recently, but it's really important to make it. It's basically you plan out your entire 8 semester academic career at RPI. And since certain classes are only offered in the spring or fall, it's to make sure that you get all your required courses so you can graduate on time. So you don't want to be stuck at RPI for another year just because you missed that one class that you couldn't take because it was offered in the fall instead of spring. But I would say don't worry too much about planning because your advisor, you're required to meet your advisor, and it helps. They help you essentially plan out your schedule, and they'll give you like advice on when's the best time to take certain classes. So yeah,
You can also use Quacks, or Yaks. I don't know if Yaks
it's
is still.
Yaks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can put
basically,
up. I'll put the link
Actually,
down.
it's Quacks right now, I think. But
It's
yeah,
Quacks.
There's two of
Quacks is
them.
What?
better.
yeah, I just put the
I've
link.
been lied to.
Yeah.
There's two of them. I don't know why they made two.
So that you can plan out your like next semester schedule if you know what your like your whole 4-year plan is. You can also see like the different time slots there are and the section numbers. You can compare with your friends too, and you're like, oh, I'm in section 1, and then your friend can also be like, oh, cool, I'll sign up for section 1 too. Another thing is, if you are not a morning person, do not sign up for 8 a.m.s because you won't learn that well and you'll be sleepy. But personally, I don't mind 8 a.m., so I am taking them, and then my day's over pretty early.
Yeah, to add on to what Amber said, I'm not a morning person, but 8 a.m.s actually helped me fix my sleeping schedule. It was really awful before. But yeah.
But it's really cold in the morning. I don't like that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
but now it's online, so it doesn't matter.
True.
Well,
True.
certain classes. Yeah, I wake
Yeah,
up
it
like
gets
five
really cold in the
minutes.
morning.
I wake up 5 minutes before my lecture starts
What?
sometimes.
Basically.
Dude, if you're like me and you shower in the morning, like 8 a.m.s are the worst because you gotta wake up extra early. So,
Well, that's why you shower. That's when you wake up, and then you get ready for class.
no, but some people shower at night. I shower in the morning.
Oh well.
So, like, and then I eat breakfast too. So, like, I wake up at like 6:30 last semester. That's really early.
There are certain
But yeah,
classes. Oh, Spencer, yeah, you go first.
I think one of the best things about making your schedule is just finding friends who are like taking the same classes as you with you. So you want to like find out, oh yeah, so like what section are you gonna take so you can coordinate between your friends. I think going to classes with friends are really sort of like it really helps you
Stay
make
motivated.
sure that you actually attend classes. I feel like because
Yeah.
when I had friends who were in my class, it was kind of like a check on each other. Like I make sure you come, you make sure I come. You know, even though it's not like spoken out, we kind of both know that we should probably both be there. So I think it's really nice to have friends who are in your section because that really helps you just do better in the class. And it just makes it more enjoyable because you can like talk in class, and you have fun and stuff.
Then when you're in class, you should definitely make friends and then communicate with them so that you can do work with them outside.
Yeah, and I would also structure my schedule to have like mini breaks in between my classes or snacks or for lunch. Like I know my freshman schedule was kind of awful since I didn't have that lunch break, so I was starving in between classes, and that was not fun. So definitely have a lunch break.
Yeah, and there's actually like a 1 or 2 week period in the beginning of every semester where you can like add or drop pretty much any class as long as you have like space in your schedule. So that's not only like pretty good for like if you're taking a class and you don't like it, then you can drop it like with no consequences. But it's also good for like if there's a class you're taking right now that it's like maybe it's an 8 a.m. class and um, you're not really adjusting well to waking up that early and taking 8 a.m. classes, then you can pretty much just take the same class except at a later time. You could just drop the 8 a.m. class and take and register for a later class. So you should really like take it. It's a good idea to like take advantage of the like 1 or 2 week period in the beginning where you can like add or drop like whatever class you want to like basically like structure your schedule during that time to like fit your needs the best. So
And to add on to that, do make sure that if you are gonna drop a class and re-sign for the same class at a different time slot, to make sure that they have room, because sometimes the classes are maxed out. So yeah.
Yeah,
Next
for
question.
minor
Oh.
finesses like this, you can like when the time comes, you can talk to us and we'll like help you through this. But like this is like to like enhance your schedule if you don't like it. And but like it's really it's hard to understand it because you don't have the schedule in front of you. But when the time comes, you want us to change sections, we can help you out with that. So yeah.
Next question. So what are some good places to study and get work done?
Well, if these places are open, you can go to the library, the VCC, or the Union. I personally like going to either like the nearby Dunkin' Donuts or like Starbucks to go study.
There's also like a small lounge inside the Johnson Engineering Center, or also known as JEC. It's like the library, but it's much closer to classes. So I like to go there to get work done in between classes. Like maybe I have an hour break and I don't want to get lunch. So I usually go there to get work done.
On the weekends, since there's no classes in the lecture halls, you can just go into the lecture hall buildings and like pick a classroom and just sit down and work there if you really wanted to. But the desks are really small, so I would not recommend.
And adding on to Michelle's point, every major usually has its own lounge. So there's a CS lounge, there's an ITWS lounge. The CS lounge is in, I believe, the math building. I actually forgot the name of the math building. At Amos Eaton. The ITWS lounge is in Lally, and of course the engineering lounge is in JAC. But every major should have its own lounge, and then usually there'll be people working there, so you might be able to help others or get help from people who are working on the same thing that you are.
Yeah, if you're an architecture student or like a Haas major, I know that we have studios, and it's just basically open spaces where you can work and do your projects and whatever.
And in case you find your roommates or roommate annoying or too loud, there are also like study halls inside dorm buildings, also where the printers are. So I usually go like super late at night when my roommates are sleeping, so I don't bother them. So I usually do my work there.
I think most buildings have a little study area on every floor.
Yeah, but make sure you study with friends. I really like doing homework with friends. Unless you're like Michelle, who can't control herself.
Okay, I get distracted easily, okay? I like to do homework with friends because they help with questions, but not exams because I can't control myself and I don't get work done.
Yeah, I guess it's different for everyone, I guess.
So
But I usually do homework with the people I go to class with.
Yeah, so the library has little study rooms on each floor, I believe. And you can just close the door and you'll have your own little space there, but it's kind of stuffy and I don't like it. So
Oh yeah, for the library too, you need to reserve the rooms. Usually there's public rooms in the library where you can just walk in and use it. But then there's also rooms you can reserve. So you need to go to the front desk, ask them to reserve a room, and then they'll give you a room with like a key, and you just return it at the end. You have to give in your ID card, I believe, and then you'll get it.
Yeah, and there's also like tables on certain sides of the library where you can see MPAC, which is one of the newer buildings, and you can see the sunset sometimes if you stay late enough.
Ooh.
And it's really pretty. And you can see downtown Troy too. Is that it for this question?
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
let me add something at the end. So some people might think that working with friends has a reverse effect on your work ethic. I guess that really depends on who you are. So your friends just talk all the time. You might not be able to get your work done.
Like Justin.
But if you, but if if you see your friends working like hard at work, it'll definitely motivate you to do your work too. So I guess be around friends that work hard.
Yeah, so to add
Or
to that,
work hard, play hard.
yeah, sort of to add on to that, I think like sort of what Steven said, it's kind of like it really depends on each person. So if you feel like you study better on your own, or you just feel like your friends are too like talkative or distracting, then it might be better to study on your own. But a lot of times, like studying with your friends and studying in study groups, is usually a really good way to both like get homework done and also like study for exams, because um, it's like it a lot of times it like helps to you just like study and like learn more in like a like collaborative environment, like a study group or something. And also like you usually like have actual time committed to studying, whereas if you study on your own, you might end up procrastinating or getting distracted and not like getting as much work done or studying done as you want. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. How good are most professors, and what is the best way to approach them / ask for help?
Wait, the first
What
question
are
was
how good are most professors? I'll say like most professors genuinely care about what they teach. Most of them are at least. So, um, if you're having trouble with courses or material, definitely reach out. They would never, well, they're not supposed to like ignore you or give you slack for it. So I'll say if you really need help, really go for it. That's their job. And the best way to approach them is you can either email them or you can go up to them after class ends, um, or even before class starts. You can also do that. Basically, anytime where you see a professor outside of teaching times, you can approach them and be like, "What up? Like, can I get help on this?" Except if you see your professor in the supermarket, because I saw him one time and that was kind of awkward.
Or the
So
gym?
yeah,
Oh
or the gym.
yes,
If you see
yes.
them at the gym, you just probably just do your own thing. But like serious talk, like they're really down to help you guys and help everyone. And they have office hours. If you ask them questions, they'll probably tell you, "Hey, this is my office hours. You know, we can talk in person. It might be easier to teach." Things of that nature. So
Yeah, I think there's also a website called Rate My Professors, where students like leave reviews for the professors that they had for certain classes. But just keep in mind that those reviews are subjective. Like a professor that they might not like, you may like. It just depends. But yeah.
and
And
like, if you get to know like any upperclassmen who are like in the same major as you, then there's a pretty good chance that they've like taken a class with the same professor that you're taking right now or you're going to take in the future. So it's a good idea to ask them, both like with like help and advice for the class, and also like which professor, like how they felt the professor for the class they took, like how good they felt the professor was, and also like who they think the best professor is for a certain class.
And I would say the best way to approach professors is during their office hours, because that is the designated time that they have like reserved to help students. So definitely go during office hours, and they're always trying their best to help you. Anything
um,
else?
wait, so Eric asks, where can I find textbooks and learning materials if I want to better understand the material I am on?
Eric,
And are there resources that substitute the in-person APO system?
Eric, we're getting to that. Please, it's next question.
we can do it later.
Okay, question. 5. Where can I find additional resources for my major? So, something that I wish someone told me earlier was to not buy the textbooks from the bookstore. They're really expensive. Some of them cost like $100. So
Buy them
many,
from Amazon.
yeah, get them from Amazon, or so many upperclassmen have PDF versions of required text and backwork. So thanks to Eric, he compiled all of it into one single Google Drive. If you want access to the Google Drive, please reach out to Eric privately. He is active on Discord and Facebook. And since the drive includes upperclassmen's personal work, this is to protect them. And some classes, some classes do require you to buy a code to have access to do your homework. So we mainly use Pearson's Mastering for core engineering classes like physics and chemistry. Those you do have to buy from the bookstore, but you can also check online to see if they're cheaper. Sometimes it's cheaper directly from the source.
Yeah, no, the thing about like textbooks is make sure to only get them or only like start looking for textbooks you need like once classes actually start. Because for like a number of reasons, like both like you might find out that like one of the upperclassmen has like a PDF version of a textbook, so you basically just get it for free. And then also you might find out that there's a cheaper way to get the textbook than through the bookstore, which is always pretty expensive, or like a professor recommends a specific way to get a textbook. It's always really important to actually wait until at least the first couple days or the first week of classes to start like getting textbooks that you need.
And
True.
adding on to that, it's unfortunate to say, but there are some professors that use RPI specific textbooks, and those you have to buy from RPI. There's no way around that one. So either get that from an upperclassman who already has it and can sell it to you for cheaper, or you actually have to buy a fresh copy from the bookstore.
That is unfortunate. So I know for like chemistry class, they require you to buy like goggles from the bookstore, but the goggles are kind of overpriced.
Yeah,
So
just
you
buy
just
somewhere
buy it from
else.
like Walmart or Amazon. And you don't need the lab coat. I made the mistake of buying the lab coat and
You
I
bought a
never
lab
used
coat,
it.
Michelle.
I never
Oh, that's
used it.
hilarious.
I got played.
Whatever like art materials you need, if you need any, you can just go to Walmart to buy it or online. It's definitely cheaper than like with the like if you need a sketchbook, you really only if it's specifically for an art class, get one from somewhere else other than the bookstore. Because those things are like way too overpriced.
Yeah. And I know for my elective classes, I took a course in philosophy, and the required text was kind of expensive from the bookstore, so I ended up renting it from Amazon, which was significantly cheaper, and I didn't have like to resell the book afterwards. I just returned it.
Yeah, also you should instead of buying textbooks, you should rent them so that you don't have to figure out what to do after you're done with it. And it's cheaper.
Yeah, because you don't need your textbook after classes are over. That's for sure.
Wait, are they still using iClickers?
Oh,
Yeah, maybe. Probably.
that's kind of
So for iClickers, you can either buy them or rent them. I would say rent them. I made the mistake of purchasing them because I thought I would need it for future classes, but I only used it for that one
Yeah.
class in freshman year. So yeah.
So iClickers are this thing that you use to answer questions. So if you have a big
little
lecture hall,
remote,
yeah, it's like a remote thing. It's hard to explain what it is until you
and
have it in
it
your hand, but
has like A B C D
oh,
E, I think, options, and sometimes it's like it's for attendance. Oh, yeah.
this is the iClicker. It says RPI clicker. So like the professor will put like a question on the board and you just press A, B, C, or D or E. I don't need this anymore. It's like a freshman thing. So if you want it, I can probably give it to you. So
And I have one too.
yeah,
I may or may not have one. I don't remember.
I want it back because I might need it at some other point.
Okay. I think that was all our questions. So if you have any
actually,
questions,
one other thing I wanted to say for this is actually like each major has their own like advising handbook. So basically, like what an advising handbook is, it's like basically like a pretty long, basically like a pretty, like 20-page like I guess like collection of like pretty like really important information for each major. So it's basically like the classes that you should take for each major and like when you should take them, and then also like the professors, all the professors for a certain major, and like also how to contact them, and also like just a lot of other really good resources are in like the advising handbook, which is there for each major. So yeah, the link I just put in the chat is just those are the advising handbooks for like the School of Engineering for like anyone who's an engineering major, like any kind of engineering major. The advising handbooks for all of them are just compiled into that. But really, all you have to do is just Google like you just have to Google RPI, and then your major. So say it's like architecture. So just Google RPI architecture advising handbook, and it'll usually be like just in one of the top 3 searches. So using advising handbooks for your major is also really good.
Yeah, you can
That's
also
true.
type in RPI course catalog, and then you can go down to like programs and find your program, and they'll have like a set of courses that you should take for each semester.
Yeah, those are good actually. They're really good.
and I think that's all the questions. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll try our best to answer them.
Don't forget to drop a like.
And subscribe.
Oh yeah, and then also you can. These are like all the emails for our mentors and also our e-board members, and we organize them by major. Yeah, we didn't have like room to fit like all the majors, so for like civil engineering, electrical engineering, and maybe like a couple others, they're not like directly on here. But if you just go to our mentor website, then you can see like all of our mentors, and um, they're like pretty much at every major. We have mentors in those majors, so you can email them, and like they'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
So Wesley says, what if I don't like my major? And how do I know if a major or minor is for me?
Oh boy. So if you're uncertain of your major, there's something called undecided engineering where you like know like you want to be within the field of engineering but you just don't know which one. So they have a lot of core engineering classes that you can take to familiarize yourself with the field, and then you make a decision based on that. So luckily my high school had majors kind of, so we took classes that are concentrated within our majors. So that's how I got to pick civil engineering. And yeah.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that. For pretty much every single major on campus, you have enough time to change your major until like beginning of your sophomore year. The reason is that pretty much every single major has the same requirement your freshman year. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have told you that already. So your courses, pretty much every freshman take the same course, and that's especially true for engineers. And so if you try something out and you realize you don't like it, you can always change it in your sophomore year. That's totally fine. People do that all the time. I think there's nothing wrong with changing your major if you end up not liking what you picked. So yeah, just keep trying things, and if you find out you don't like something, don't be afraid to talk to someone and talk about maybe changing your major.
So regarding minors, minors.
Minors.
Minors are more for like your passions. Like I was gonna minor in Chinese, But like it didn't fit in my schedule, so I can't do that. But for others, it's like you can build in a minor with your electives.
So for me,
Yeah.
yeah, I took psychology classes to fill in for my electives, and I'm only like one course away from getting a psych minor. So I might as well just take an additional psychology class to get that minor.
Yeah. I'll say, like, in the grand scheme of things, just minors don't mean a huge amount of deal. It's just for your hobbies and interests. If you like something, definitely go for it, and might as well pick up a minor in the process. So that's my take on it. But after you graduate, your minors are minor. They're not that
Yes.
important, but it's nice to have them regardless.
Yeah.
Unintended pun.
Your future jobs wouldn't really. It's sad to say it, but they don't really care about the minor. All they really care about is what your major is. The minor is, as everyone said, it's just what you find interest in and what you want to get better, or what you want to get better at in what field.
So yeah, like as you progress in your academic career at RPI, you get like free electives, which is just any course that you can take of your choosing. So since you're already paying the tuition, like you might as well try something new. So you could see like what you like and what you don't like. So I found out I hated economics. So I decided not to pursue anything within that range. But I liked more like thinking stuff like philosophy and psychology. So I aimed it towards those, and I found an interest in that, and that's why I'm planning on getting a minor in the field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, big brain.
So
Really just know. Go ahead.
Wesley also asked, how do you guys study?
We kind of went over that, I feel like, but we can talk a bit more.
No, I think
Use
what we talked about
Backtest.
before is people that we study with.
Yes.
Yeah, you can use
Like
Backtest
personally
in
study.
the APO office and like do them, and then use the answers as reference if you get it right or not. I don't know. I go for lectures and like homeworks because they use homeworks a lot in tests.
Oh yeah. One thing I've noticed is that your lectures are probably not going to be super helpful in terms of helping you understand materials. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Sometimes you just doze off, you fall asleep. The professor's going too fast. You get lost all of a sudden, and now you can't keep up in lecture. I think that happens to pretty much everybody. So I think for a lot of people, the way they study and like understand material is just by doing the homework and actually understanding what the homework is asking. And a lot of people who don't do well in courses are people who just like copy someone else's homework or just like run through the homework, doesn't care about the homework. So people who genuinely care about homework and doing them and understanding them usually have a good time in tests and overall in the course. So I would say definitely like understand the homework is a big deal, and that's where you probably learn the most.
So what I like to do also is I like to go to ALAC, do my homework there, and then ask them any questions that I have on like things that I am very unsure about, and like, oh, how do I approach this problem? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, here's a tip.
Wait, what is ALAC?
Assistant
That
Learning
tutoring thing.
Center or something. It's where all the TAs and mentors.
All the tutoring services.
Yeah. But I on to what Anna said. Usually and what Spencer said. Usually the lectures, the professors either have online or like you go in person. It's kind of hard to follow a lot of the times, and they might go too fast. So usually, like the students who've taken the class before, the TAs, mentors, explain it better because they took the class already. They have their own understanding of how to go about learning the subject, which is usually a lot easier to understand than the symbols and stuff that the professors put on the slides. So that's definitely something to exploit if you don't understand. If you get it the first time, then there's nothing to say. And you don't need it. But if you don't get it, then you should probably hit up the mentors.
So I learned the best from actually solving the problems. So I find going through like lecture slides and doing the example problems that the professors put are really helpful. And reviewing the homework helps a lot too. Just by applying what we learn in class to the homework, it helps me understand the concepts more. And then like like maybe 2 or 1 day before the exam, I would do all the back exams of that class. So what Eric has is extremely great. His Google Drive has a lot of back exams from previous years. So that's why I like to study off the most, because you can see how the professor base their exams, like the formatting. The questions will obviously be different, but you could tell like what specific concepts they focus on, and then you go and learn those concepts, maybe from the lecture slides or reading the textbook. I find also reading textbooks help a lot for concepts. And at the end of like each chapter, they usually have practice problems that range from that has like a difficulty range from easy to hard. So I like to start from the hard and then make my way to the start from the easy and make my way to the hard. And then like do the back exams, which helps a lot. And then you can see like the way the professor does like his answers, and you could just base off your answers on that, so you wouldn't lose that much points even if your answers are wrong, but you did the problem in like the correct format. And that applies mainly to engineering courses. But yeah.
Yeah, another thing I would say is like make sure to actually like invest time into like doing like both doing your homework and like understanding sorry, like actually like understanding how to do each homework problem, because like doing homework is like a really underrated way to study for or just prepare for exams in general, because like it's pretty tempting a lot of times to like if homework is like 10 or 15% of your grade, it's pretty tempting to either get the answers for your homework online or just to get them from someone else and get that easy 10 or 15% out of the way. But a lot of times when you do that, you end up finding that you're just really like unprepared and you really struggle on your exams, or you end up having to do a lot of like cramming and studying at the last minute, which usually stresses you out. So it's really important to like actually do the homework, like and like understand how to do the homework problems, because it both like solidifies like what you learned like after the professor lectured on it or something, and then also if you don't understand how to do some of the problems, then you can also just um, go to like ALAC tutoring or iPersist to an iPersist mentor, and that's another really good way to learn also.
So Wesley had another question. How will finals and midterms work? How do you study for those? So if you notice like on your schedule, there's maybe like a time block that's later in the day, maybe like 6 to 7:50 or 8 to 9:50. Those are usually exam time blocks, specifically for exams. So those aren't really classes that you need to go to weekly, but they'll just tell you like when your exam is, like these specific times.
And finals are the last week of each semester, and they'll give you a few days before that as reading days, and those are the days that you have no classes and you have time to study for them. And then your professor will also share like when your finals will be. Most of the time, it's after this one PDF is sent out. The PDF shows you what day and when your finals are.
Yeah, and I think for this semester, like all the finals are gonna be online because like in-person classes and before Thanksgiving. But normally the way it would work if we were doing finals in person is they would pretty much release a list of all the finals and actually like where the building and the building and room that each final is gonna be in. So you would have to go through that list, and for each final that you're taking, you'd have to like make sure you know like where exactly it is so that um you don't have to like you don't actually accidentally go to the wrong place and then having to figure it out at the last minute. So
Yeah.
Yeah, attending exams, every freshman professor is going to make sure that you will be there. they will like take extra measures to tell you where they are. So don't worry too much about not being able to get to the room, because freshman professors are really like they will just tell you over and over again how to get there.
They'll
For
send out
studying,
announcements.
yeah, freshman professors really just announce it just a lot, so you won't miss it. But for studying, midterms are basically regular exams. It's a
Yeah.
fancy word for regular exams. And the final is just finals. But the midterms, they're not all in the same week. Midterms, it might sound like every class had the same midterm at the same week, but it's really scattered out. So it's not like you have a week of midterms. Usually it's spread out pretty evenly. Um, so yeah. So studying for midterms, just study for exams. So like we said before, review your homework, do your homework, study materials like any other exam.
So for finals, a lot of classes you're allowed to bring a crib sheet. So it's like a cheat sheet. And it depends on how much they allow you, but some classes they do front and back on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. Some classes are only one side. But what I like to do is I like to put down equations, like really common equations, and then examples.
Yeah, to build off that too, I also put like small conceptual notes, especially for classes like physics where there's certain concepts that you just need to know for the exam. I would just put that down. And also, a typical number of exams for a class is usually 3 normal exams and then 1 final. So sometimes 2 of your major classes might have exams that overlap, basically have 2 in the same week or even 3 exams. So I would say plan ahead and try to keep your schedule, like maybe use a Google Calendar as reminders so so you have enough time to study before the exam and to prepare for multiple exams. Okay. Oh God. So
Wesley's got a lot of questions.
Yes, he does.
so how and why did you guys pick your majors? That's a big
uh,
that's a big one.
uh,
Okay,
uh,
I can go first. So actually originally I was gonna be a cognitive science major, but then I realized like in high school I was on a robotics team and I wanted to do more mechanical engineering, but then I was like, that's too technical and kind of like boring. So I added my design, innovation, and society one where I could do more, I guess, art kind of design challenges. So that's why I chose my majors. It's a dual major.
So I originally applied to RPI as an architect. So I did my portfolios and I did everything and I got in as an architect. But like 2 months before school start, I decided last minute quickly change my major because I realized for architecture it's a 5-year program and I didn't want to stay in school for an additional year. And it was also extra for tuition and I didn't want to pay that much. So I decided engineering is probably the best route since I like the design of buildings and that's the career that I wanted to pursue. And that's what I was most comfortable with, especially like going to school with a strong STEM field. That's what I was really comfortable with and that's what I wanted to pursue, basically. Anyone else? Spencer, how did you pick to be a civil engineer?
I mean, I just like this, so
Okay.
there's not much of a story.
Yeah, I actually
Damn.
also like changed my major like once from the time like I came in. So I actually came in as an undecided or undeclared engineering major because I was kind of like sort of like it implies like undecided like between like some different engineering majors. Like I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go into. But then after some time and also like based on high school, I kind of realized I was like interested in more like the biology and like actually like real life applications like in like human body and medicine applications of engineering. like mainly like drug discovery, drug development, and like medical devices and things like that. So like that's what made me want to stick with biomedical engineering.
I think one of the best things about like being away for college is you get to explore more and you just get to discover yourself more. So you get to know what you like outside of your comfort zone. So it's a really good way, I guess, if you're undecided to pick an actual major.
Whoa.
I'm just saying you get to
Actual.
explore more.
Nah, I get it. I'm
Oof,
joshing.
social engineers.
But to add on to everybody's saying, it's good to have a variety of friends who are in different departments so that you can, look over their shoulders, look at their work, and if it interests you more than what you're currently doing, that might be saying something. If you're like maybe in Haas and you have a CS friend and you really like coding or something, then maybe that's a sign to switch.
Yeah. Like I'm not a CS major, but Steven helps me with CS stuff. But then I dropped the course
Oof.
because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, to build off what Steven says, I was like really questioning like my major halfway through sophomore year, and from like friends and seeing how their major classes were, like seeing CS kids do like computer science or like architectures doing their work, I realized, yeah, I really like civil engineering. So yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Kevin
asked. Oh, Steven, yeah, you can ask.
Okay. How hard is it to do a dual major?
Oh, Steven can answer.
I'm doing a dual. So clarify the difference between a dual and a double is that dual majors, those two majors can overlap between courses, but a double, no courses overlap. So it's like just putting a lot more work than a dual.
Yeah, going off what Amber said, I'm a dual too. I'm a CSIT. If you add on a dual, you should definitely choose one that is really closely affiliated with your current major. If you choose one that's too different, it actually becomes a double major, and you don't want to do a double major because that's actually, I believe, 30 or 40 more credits that you actually have to take for a dual. So a dual major is you take the same amount of credits as a single major, but you find overlapping ways to, fill in the free electives or in the core classes for both of them. So like the core classes for one major would become the free electives for the other one, and vice versa. That
so
all
as
in all,
mechanical engineer, one of the things that you have to do is you have to have Haas classes, and my Haas major fills in those classes, and my Haas major has like free elective spaces that I can. It just basically meshes together really well.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you want to do a dual major, definitely pick one that's closely related to your current major. Like if you're like an electrical engineer, you can probably go with like a computer science or no computer systems engineering, or if you're CS, you can do IT. As long as it's closely related, you'll be able to find ways to overlap the requirements for both majors. And then you would still need to take the same amount of credits, and you'll be okay.
Okay, so another question from Wesley. What happens if you do very poorly your first semester?
Oh no. Shouldn't Wesley be answering that question?
That's true.
Wait, where is he? He's answering this question.
I'm joking. Oh.
You get help. So in the freshman halls, there is an LA, so learning
Assistant?
assistant, yeah. And so everybody gets like their report. They're basically like their
Transcript.
academic help, and they'll tell you, hey, you need to go to these tutoring you need to go to see professors, and then you will, I think it's basically academic probation, or not, maybe, yeah. And you get like a required, you have to do like required ALAC tutoring.
But like, yeah.
Wait,
See,
Spencer,
you can go. You can go.
Oh, sure. Okay. If you do very poorly in the first semester, well, first of all, don't make it your first semester. Make sure if you're doing poorly, like on the first test, that should be a sign that something's wrong. So don't wait until the first semester. That's kind of a bad thing because now you have some weighted classes under your belt already. That's kind of really detrimental for your future. So if you do bad on the first test, that definitely means that you didn't study enough or something, or you need more help. So something is definitely an issue. So there's a lot of resources that you can exploit, like LAs, who can help you with the learning, your mentors, teaching assistants, and your professors. If you have any questions, you should definitely get them answered before you walk into those tests. And yeah, so definitely don't wait until your first semester at the end, and then go make those changes. But if you do, let's just say you fail the class or something, which is not a good thing. But if you do, you can definitely retake them in the future. And then if you take them in the future, like the semester after or some semester in the future, it'll replace the grade that you currently have in that class. But hopefully you have enough space to be able to take them.
Make sure you don't ignore the red flags. If you do bad on an exam, that's a sign. Don't ignore the red flag. So honestly, it's just about reflecting on yourself. If you do poorly, think about what you're missing. Like, if you reflect on yourself a lot, I think that's just a general rule for everyone. Like, it's gonna help you in the long term.
It's like you're responsible for yourself, so ultimately everything's on you. You pick the way you want to do things.
Whoa.
If you stay ignorant, that's not really good. So definitely don't do that. But yeah.
Damn, that's a boomer talk.
Yeah, that's true. It is the truth.
So yeah, usually when I do poorly on maybe the first few exams, like Spencer and Steven said, I tend to reflect on myself and see like what mistakes that I made leading up to the exam. Maybe I didn't study enough, or maybe I didn't understand the concepts and didn't seek additional help. So I usually try to fix those issues before the next exam. So yeah. And leading up to that question, what happens if you get thrown in academic probation?
Did Wesley ask that question?
No, it was Kevin.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Wesley, where are you at?
You just get watched a lot more closely by your RAs and your LAs, and then you have to go to ALAC tutoring. Like, you have to sign in and have the tutor sign that you were there, or something like that. And if your GPA gets lower than 1 or 1.5,
I think it's 2. Is it 2? There's no way it's 1.
It's 1.5 or 2. Then there's like an email that gets sent to your parents.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
so don't do that. And I know this because someone who I lived with, who lived on my floor freshman year, had that happen to them.
Yikes. Relatable content, Steven? Oh, no, wait, no, you're not in my dorm. Never mind.
Oh, wait.
No, but like,
I was like, wait.
More information, ask Kevin.
A 2.0 GPA is like an average of C amongst all your classes. I'll say, like, I'm pretty sure like 90% of the school has above 2.0, I feel like. So
yeah, so
it's
like,
really
you
hard
be
to
trying to fail. Like, this one person wouldn't go to classes, and they had skipped a few of their exams and didn't really do homework. So, just do what you gotta do.
And some tips on coming into college. I'm pretty sure for a lot of you guys and girls, high school is pretty easy. I breezed through high school. I didn't study that much. Let's just say that in high school.
Wow.
Everything was pretty breezy.
Wow.
But then if you come into college, you actually need to study. If you walk into a test without studying, you're probably gonna bomb that test, and you probably will not recover from that for a while. So definitely study. Don't be lazy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Michelle.
I do study, but something that I also learned is that sleep is important. I remember in
Yeah.
freshman
Yes.
year,
Yes.
I would prioritize studying over sleeping. So for my chem final, I decided to stay awake like at 4 a.m. Our exam was at 8 a.m. Our final was at 8 a.m. So I stayed up till 4 a.m. studying, and I ended up bombing the exam anyway.
Yes.
So something like of a advice is to sleep more, like prioritize your sleep. That's the
Mhm.
best way for you to retain information. Psych minor, but
Take care of your
yeah. Take care of your health too. Mental health is really important as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
do realize that you're experiencing some mental issues, do reach out. There's a lot of resources on campus for that. Yeah, especially since grades are really important. And then if you do fall below average, it gets really stressful. But try not to be too hard on yourself. You could easily pick that up since your grades are cumulative. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those were all the questions.
Yes. Do we have any tips or personal experiences that we want to give to everybody?
Where's Wesley?
Go to
Yeah, where is
class.
he? I want to hear from the man himself.
I'm here from the exactly ex-president.
Where is he?
He's in the chat.
Definitely, if you have live classes, go to class.
Yes, but wear a mask
Yes, that.
Yes.
and wash your hands.
Stay safe.
And hand sanitizer. Yes.
Stay
6 feet
Prioritize your
apart.
health.
safe.
Hmm.
Um.
And I think that's it. So yeah, thank you guys for coming to our podcast, and thank you for the speakers. I totally forgot to do introductions in the beginning, but you can see our names on the WebEx. So yeah.
I'm Steven, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Lemon. So yeah, I
Wait a
think that's
minute.
the end of our podcast.
Mhm.
Thank you everyone for showing up.
And thank you everyone for listening.
And also, we're recording this podcast, so if there's some of it that you wanted to rewatch or anything, then we'll be uploading it to our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it there.
Yes.
Ooh,
And
I have a
don't forget to
subscriber.
reach out. Don't forget to reach out to Eric Tung, for resources. He has a lot of resources, especially textbook PDFs. So please reach out to
Yer.
him. But yeah.